off the back of reports that there's going to be a global wine shortage, we have Kathy Marstens, our wine expert, joining us on Google Hangout, and CEO of Wines of South Africa, Siobhan Thompson, also on Google Hangout, to talk about what this means for South Africa. Kathy, is South Africa going to run out of wine?
I'd love to say yes, go out and buy lots and lots and lots this weekend, but actually no, it's not going to run out of wine anytime soon, unfortunately. Fortunately, we don't want to run out of wine. I think that this report that came out was very important that you put it into context. It was written by some analysts in Australia who were recommending certain stocks of certain wine businesses in Australia. It was very much in their interest to make it look as if this stock that they were recommending was one that people should rush and buy because there was going to be less wine, so their stock will go up. So I think that you need to look at it in the background of that kind of context before you get too excited and say that there will be a global shortage. Having said that, there are some areas in the world that have had some very bad vintages and a lot of problems this last year. And those are going to limit the supply in those specific areas. And what will be fantastic is that that actually proves to be a great opportunity for South African wines to slip in there and fill some gaps.
And Siobhan, we produce the same grapes that have been affected by weather in France. What does this mean for our wine industry in South Africa?
I think in terms of South African wine naturally filling the gaps of the French wines, it's probably unlikely because South Africa markets in terms of varietals versus France that don't. So I don't think it will naturally be that South African wines will fill the gaps of French wine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think absolutely right. You know, people who want Pouilly Montrachet are always going to want Pouilly Montrachet. But I think that what is going to happen is that the areas that have had particularly bad harvests, there is going to be less wine sort of available on the market for people to buy. The prices are going to increase, which I know is just a thing that's going to happen simply because if there is less wine available and there is increased demand as well now that China is actually coming in and buying an awful lot more fine wine. I would like to think, and I'm sure that a lot of South African wine producers would like to think, that other people, particularly perhaps restaurateurs and sommeliers, might start looking for better priced, equally good quality alternatives from the new world. You know, so if Pouilly Montrachet is going to suddenly, you know, double in price, and the only people who can afford it will be, you know, the top end sort of restaurants and the Chinese markets. Some of our Chardonnays that we can actually offer from areas like Elgin and Heminalada are offering amazing value. And I think once people actually get to realise that and understand what we've got to offer, I'd like to think that, you know, we'll start an interest that will continue.
You mentioned that prices are going to start to increase. Will prices increase in South Africa?
Well, you know, nothing's getting cheaper, unfortunately. It would be nice if it is, but it isn't. I think that there's a lot of prices, a lot of wineries that will continue to sort of, you know, grow at a steady rate and keep their prices up there. There is a lot of wine that we have to sell here. You know, I say nothing is getting any cheaper. We have increased cost of production as well, increased petrol costs and transport and everything like that. So, you know, I don't think we can expect anything outrageous. Certainly not. I would say opportunistic price rises that we might perhaps see from some of these areas that are now coming off the back of you know, bad harvests and using those as potentially excuses to put their prices up. I don't think we'll see that in South Africa. I think people are much more realistic and they're very bothered and concerned to keep a strong foothold here in their own country as well.
Siobhan, Kathy mentioned that consumption is increasing in China, and I did read that it's also increasing in America. Is this going to put demand on South African wineries to export?
I think it opens up a great opportunity for South African wineries to export, particularly with the USA being a big wine growth country, well, the biggest wine consumption country, and showing very strong growth. South Africa still has a relatively small share in the USA. And we are currently showing growth in the USA. So I think it's a fantastic opportunity, and yes, we can take advantage of it and export more to the USA.
And what will this do for our economy?
Oh, but obviously, help improve our economy. It was interesting looking at some statistics earlier on about for every 1 million invested in the country, it creates 5.5 jobs. So obviously, more sales out means an increase in jobs created in the country. So an improvement, obviously, in the economy.
It's also worth saying, Jennifer, and I'm sure that it's going to take into account. It's not just the actual jobs directly in the wine industry as well that will be created if we export more wine too. People who come to South Africa and then get to travel around wine lands, it's a fantastic tourism opportunity as well. It really is. People who drink whole wines is putting our best foot forward, and then getting them here to South Africa is just the knock-on effect from actually people just buying our wine overseas are much greater than just a single bottle of wine. It's a very good thing for South Africa.
Awesome. And Siobhan, did you have anything to add?
No, I think what Kathy said there about tourism is very important in terms of growing our tourist industry, and what we have to offer within South Africa is fantastic. So I can concur with that.